All right, back for round two. So this is going to be questions 5 and 6. I believe these are all, yeah, this is it. So 5 and 6 on this one here. All right, so Malcolm wants to download some new music. He's trying to decide which site to use. Music download shows the rate in which songs can be downloaded in the table below. We talked about this in class, but the best way to kind of compare certain things is to have them in the same form. You think about like if you're comparing fractions, it's a lot easier to compare fractions that have the same denominator than it is to compare fractions that don't. So there we go. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put both of this information groups into equations. Now, music is our jam already has an equation. All right, it's that 1 point y equals 1.5 x. All right, we just need to make music download from the table into an equation. So what we'll have is this, because it does say um, songs is x, y. Oh, wait, whoops, I lied. It says y is the number of songs and x is the time in minutes, which we already knew that because time is always x, right? Time is always x. So basically, if we want to find the number of songs we can get, we need to find the rate and take that times the number of minutes, which the rate is going to be the change in y divided by the change in x. All right. So plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. All of these guys here are plus 2. Okay. So that means my change in the y values is going to be 2. My change in the x values is plus 1. And 2 over 1 is going to get me a rate of change of 2. So our equation then is 2x for this music download thing, right? Which site should Malcolm use to download songs at the fastest rate? Now, you might be thinking like the shortest amount of time, but remember, our rate of changes here is how many songs we can download per minute. So we want the most downloads per minute, which means we are going to use music download because the rate of change, which is going to be our download speed, is larger or greater. Um, Larger or greater than the music is our jam. Okay, so that's how we would solve this one. Again, the key is going to be comparing these two things in the same form. So that's going to be number 5. Number 6, Trisha planted 2 tomato plants in her garden. The graph below shows the growth of plant A. And then plant B's information is underneath of that. But again, we're going to go ahead and set these guys up as equations so we can see exactly what we're looking at. All right. Plant B was 1 inch tall when it was planted and has been growing at a rate of 0.5 inches per day. So, first thing that we're going to need, days is always X because it's time. Y is going to be our height. Um, so if we're trying to determine the height of these guys, we need to find the rate at which they're changing. So that would be picking your crosshairs and finding the rise and the run. Now, what I would do, if you were in class, you'll know why I wouldn't pick that one. So I'm going to skip that explanation just for time's sake on this video and go to the next one. So your rise and your run is what we have. The y-axis is being counted not by ones but by halves. So when I count my rise, it'll be 1, 2, 3. So my rise is going to be 3. I don't like where that is. Whatever. My rise is going to be 3. And then my run, which is my x's, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So the slope is going to be 3 over 4. It's my rise over my run. So we've got 3/4 x. All right. Now this is asking about initial height. So looking at plant A's graph, where does it start? If you were in class, and I'll write it underneath number 8, just like I did in class today. But when x is 0, what is your y? Okay, and if I'm looking at this graph, x is 0 right here. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that maybe and say initial height is going to be there. Since x is, or so since when x is 0, y is 0, the initial height is going to be 0. It's not anywhere above 0, so it's at 0. That would be 0.00. For plant B, all of the information is all of the information for plant B is in the problem. So it says plant B was 1 inch tall when it was planted, and it's been growing at a rate of 1/2 inch per day. So setting this equation up, it's 1/2 inch per day, and then the initial height is going to be, it was 1 inch tall when it was planted. Okay? It's going to be 1 inch tall when it was planted. So that means our initial height is going to be plus the 1 right there. Okay? So, which plant had the greater initial height? Plant B did. And I'm not going to write it. The explain your reasoning is because 1 is greater than 0. I mean, that's really all you need. The initial height of 1 is greater than 0, right? Which plant had the greater rate of change? That would be the slope, that rate of change. So it would be plant A, right? And again, I'm not going to explain it in writing, but I'll tell you, not like 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So in the explain, you could say, plant A had a greater rate of change because 3/4 is greater than 1/2. That's really all I need. Okay. I believe that takes care of 5 and 6. So stay tuned for the third and final installment of the 3A study guide.